Okay. Hello guys, welcome to a new video. This is Japan's Digital Ball. Don't mind the noise down there because I'm working on something. Yeah, so I'm reviewing PSG versus Tottenham. That was an entertaining game, and where it ended with a 4-3 penalty shootout and 2-2. PSG's comeback in the second half. That's also terrifying 10 minutes towards the end. And as a Man United fan, I'm happy that Tottenham lost. And I'm asking myself, how did we lose to these guys? Because surely Tottenham bottled a 2-0 lead. Tottenham stopped concentrating in the 80th minute. And I think once just Gonçalo Ramos came in the 70th minute, that when Tottenham switched off. And yeah, so I'll review what has happened, and this will be a long, around 10 to 15 minutes review. And yeah, so we start off. So the first thing I realized when I saw the lineup was being announced was, why was this duo playing as a CM? Because I thought this duo plays well as a winger and not as a CM, and I think I can blame Luis Enrique for that, and that misprofiling of that player was what led him to perform poorly inside the game, and that what led to him being subbed out. That what led him to being subbed out in the 70th minute because he wasn't being productive as a CM. So yeah, the next thing I realized in PSG's setup was PSG really missed João Neves in the midfield since he was suspended for this game and the League One game week one. Yeah, so they really miss him in midfield. The midfield looks like there's a big hole there. You can tell that Emery, Vitina, they don't play the same way that they do when they play with Neves there. They don't play the same way that they do when Neves is not there. So I think Neves is very important to the PSG side, and if we remove Neves, it's like the midfield is missing good, a big hole in that midfield, and that's what Tottenham took advantage of, and that's how Tottenham was able to control the middle of the park. And for Tottenham, their mistake was their strikers cannot score goals. Tottenham needs a lethal striker. Tottenham cannot depend on Richarlison to score goals. They cannot depend on Solanke to have good form. They need a good striker, and they need Richarlison to be replaced immediately. And yeah, that's what I think. I think Richarlison should play his last game for Tottenham, if I'm being honest. And yeah, so for next thing that I realized is Lucas Chevalier, he has big holes to fill in, because you can tell he did play well. He didn't play as a goalkeeper would have loved to play in his debut match, and yeah, he got a 7.2 rating, and it wasn't that well. And you can tell the PSG defense is still adapting to how he plays, to how he keeps, and yeah, there's a difference between how the PSG's defense plays when Donnarumma is there and when Chevalier is playing, and he has feet, big shoes to fill in, because Donnarumma last season won PSG the quadruple, and can Chevalier fill in those holes? Can he do better than Donnarumma did last season? So I think that PSG will continue to suffer in that department, and yeah, I think PSG's manager he did a mistake by telling Donnarumma now he's out of the squad, since they want a more ball progressive goalkeeper, and I think that's what adds pressure to the lad, because he's young and everybody is looking up to him to perform well, and he has just moved to a bigger club. Yes, he performed well as Real's number one goalkeeper, but this is PSG. He's moving to a bigger club, and he's having a lot of fans who look at his performances. He has a lot of fans criticizing every mistake he makes, and yeah, I think as a manager, you shouldn't let go of your number one who won you the quadruple last season for an upcoming lad who's just a recent signing and doesn't, so it adds pressure. And it was Luis Enrique. I would have kept Donnarumma. I'll have kept Donnarumma as number two and Lucas will play as number two. No, I'll have kept Donnarumma as number one and Lucas will have played as number two. And Lucas will have played in the cups of like the French cups and some games in the league, while Donnarumma plays in those reported games like the UCL and some big league one games and other games, reported games. That's what all I've done. It is a way of ensuring that Lucas Chevalier learns more, develops more under an experienced goalkeeper. But anyway, it is a mistake that he has done, and it's a mistake that he will regret doing. Yeah. So the next thing is, I think it's time for Pacho to play off the bench. I think Pacho is a weaker centre back in the centre back partnership between him and Marquinhos. There's a big difference. In the last 5 games I've analysed, I think he's the weakest centre back there, and PSG needs a stronger centre back, and that will hurt PSG. But they need to go buy a centre back because Pacho is not a good starting centre back, and they need a good starting centre back. That's what I'll say. And yeah, I think Hakimi's off-field issues, like the court case, is affecting his on-field performances. You can tell that Hakimi had an off day against Tottenham, and he's the reason why Tottenham exploited the left. Is the reason why PSG's right side was weak in the defense, and that's what Tottenham exploited because they had a stronger left side compared to PSG's right side. Yeah, so I think that's an issue, and Hakimi needs to learn how to take his off-field issues and perform better on field. So yeah, so I think the next issue that I did was, yeah, Bakola is better as a super sub than a starting left winger. Bakola didn't perform that well against Tottenham, and yeah, so that's what I think. Bakola should be a super sub to this duo, and should not be a starting left winger. And yeah, I think in terms of that, I'll say that. And yeah, Kavach should play as a left winger. He performed poorly against Tottenham as a right winger. I don't know why Linke keeps experimenting with him as a right winger. Yeah, so I think once he exited the game in the when was it? Once he exited the game in the 60th minute, and he brought on at the end. No, once he exited the game in the 68th minute, and Luis Enrique brought on a striker in the 76th minute. It allowed Dembele to shoot to the right. It is with Dembele's natural position, and it made Ramos play as a striker, and Cavachel was on the bench, and who played left winger? And yeah, Ibrahim Mabed and youth left winger played left wing. Yeah, so I think that Cavachal is a better suited as a left winger, not as a right winger. I think that's a tactical note that Luis Enrique should note down, and that's what I noticed was an issue in that game. And yeah, so what else did I note down is that, yeah, the Dembele time after time is proving his doubters those people who said, oh, Dembele should not win the Ballon d'Or. In this game, you can see that Dembele is crucial to PSG's attack. Yes, he played as a forward for some point of the game up to the 70th minute when he switched to a right winger. But he provided, the fact that he provided an assist in this game, and he was the man of the match with 9.8, and he scored a penalty, proves time over time that nobody else should win the Ballon d'Or 2025 than Dembele. Yeah. So, and if Dembele doesn't win, that is a robbery, because this game he has played well against Spurs. Yeah. So next is Ramos. Yeah, just so the Ramos also played well. Just so Ramos and Kang-in, those were amazing super subs. When they came in, they changed the game. When they came in, they changed the game. They got goals, and they also scored the penalties in the penalty shootout. And yeah, so I think those were good players. Those are good. One thing I can comment on Luis Enrique is his decisions. The subs that he brought on helped PSG to come back to the game. While for Thomas Frank, the subs that he brought on downgraded the quality of the way Spurs played, and that's why Spurs bottled the lead, because of the subs that Thomas Frank brought on. And I think that's the difference between Thomas Frank and Luis Enrique. That's what I can say is the two differences between the two managers. And yeah, so what else? Yeah, Nuno Mendes, he scored his penalty. That's also a good thing. So no, Nuno Mendes, I did not see him much as a left back. Yeah, I did not see him much as a left back, and yeah, so yeah. The only worry for me is Bakori's injury in the 68th, 45th minute. That was my only worry, is how long is he going to be out for, or is this just a knock? Because if he's out for long, that can impact his performances off the bench. Like, he's a good, excellent super sub. Bakori is an excellent super sub to bring on as a left winger or as a winger when the wingers are tired. Yeah, he's fast, he's athletic, and his energy is perfect when you bring him off the bench than when you start seeing him. Yeah. So next, I think a note down is, yes, PSG's only standout players were Dembele, Kang-in, Nuno Mendes. Yeah, those are the only standout performances from PSG. And yeah, as I noted down and I said before, PSG subs did a better job off the bench than Spurs subs did. So next is Spurs mistakes. I think I noted down that Thomas Franks made quite a lot of mistakes. His mistakes is poor subs decisions, and that's what led to the subs having poor performances. Richarlison should never play for Tottenham. Richarlison cannot play in a 5-3-2 formation. He cannot be the second striker in that formation, and I think Richarlison, it is his time to leave the club. He has done enough, and he has been a flop. Tottenham must accept that Richarlison has flopped at Tottenham, and they need to move on, and they need to buy for Thomas Frank a little striker, because I cannot bank on Solanke to take Tottenham far in the Champions League, especially in the Champions League where the games are more physical and everything. They need a little striker, and not buying a little striker could be the reason why Tottenham not do as well this season, because that striker, the striking options were poor, as seen in this game. The strikers cannot score goals. Yes, Richardson's replacement, which was Solanke, could not score a goal against PSG. I think Spurs goals came from a DM and a centre back, and that could tell you something about the striker options. That was poor performances from the striker options, and they need to fix that. I don't know whether it's a formation or that strikers are not good enough. But I think it's mainly that the strikers are not good enough. Yeah. So next thing is, yes, Just Spurs looks vulnerable at left back, and this what PSG mostly exploited on the right side. Since PSG's right side was strong, PSG exploited Tottenham's weak left side, and yeah, I think Spence playing in a 5-2 exposed him at left back, and yeah, and I think that Tottenham need a better left back. Are they missing Udiki? That's a question. Are they missing him? Because you can clearly see that in this game they are missing him. They're missing how he plays, and see. So next is Kudus. Kudus played well as a striker. That was, I can say, in his official debut he played well. He impressed me on how he played, and yeah. And I think that's what I can say. Also, Paloni played well in his debut as a CM. He's controlled the park well, the center of the park well, and yeah, Matters still should never take a penalty for Tottenham. His penalty was awful, and he missed that penalty. And also, he's a poor sub off the bench. I think Matters still should play as a starter, but not as a off the bench option, because he got a 4.2 off the bench, and that that rating was so low that why do you even bring him on, especially after Kudus got a 7.0. You are replacing a good player that was playing well for a player that didn't even make an impact in that game. Yeah. So next is Tottenham needs a little striker. As I said, they need a little striker. Yeah, I think Richarlison and Danso I noticed they got yellow cards for time wasting. I think Tottenham needs to work on that. They need to be quicker. They need to not get useless yellow cards like that for time wasting. And yeah, Van Den scored goal in the back five. Even though that Van Den scored a goal, but it doesn't take away the points that he scored in the back five. And he also missed the penalty as well in the shootout. And yeah, Pedro played well in the back five. He solidified Tottenham's right side of the pitch, and yeah, he made these left-sided players to struggle playing against him. Yeah, so that's what I can say. Yeah, Spurs dominated the center of the park. I think that's obvious. I mentioned that earlier in the video. What else? Yeah, I think Spurs strikers not scoring plus the weakness on the left side is what made them bottle a 2-0 lead, and also you can clearly see that Spurs is not physical enough, they're not fit enough to sustain, to play well for 90 minutes. The concentration switched off like a spark in 70th minutes onward. That's when you can see that PSG was getting into the game. That's when you can see that PSG was catching to Spurs defense, and the concentration switched off and everything switched off, and that's how PSG was able to exploit and come back into the game. Yeah. And yeah, so that's all. And I think I can tell you guys, make sure you subscribe to Football Overseas, like the video, and comment down your favorite predictions and everything else, because Spurs will always be Spurs. Spurs have the bottle jobs, and I think Arnie or you an apology, because he said that Spurs will bottle this, and you are right. Just end Spurs bottle it, and I was shocked to see Spurs bottle it, and yeah, I know. Yeah, so I think for me, my point is from this game is basically Spurs needs a striker. They surely do need a striker. There's nothing else you can tell me about this. Spurs need a striker. They need a left back, a backup left back or left back. And yeah, I think that's all. For PSG, what they need for PSG is they need to find out how they can play without Neves. If PSG finally unlocks that problem, how they can play well without John Neves being there. Because what happens if John Neves gets injured? What happens if Dembele gets injured? How can they play without those key players not there? And yeah, they should reintegrate Donnarumma into the team, because for the sake of letting go off the pressure of Lucas Chevalier. Yeah, so that's what I'll say. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your friends and family members, and you comment. So this is Kyle, and I'm out.